Are we recording? Okay, thank you. Welcome everybody to tonight's regional council meeting of October the 23rd. I'd like to acknowledge that the traditional territory of the Beniza Cree and the Dene people of the Fort Nelson First Nation and the Prophet River First Nation. Please be advised that tonight's meeting is available for the public to attend virtually, is being streamed and recorded. Are there any council additions to tonight's agenda? CAO?
Yes, Mayor, just on the BC Hydro transmission line, just update for council.
Okay. New business? BC Hydro update. Okay. Adoption of the agenda, please. Moved by Councillor Andrews, second by Councillor Souls. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. There are 5 sets of minutes there for us to adopt. Motion to adopt those minutes, please. Moved by Councillor Roper, second by Councillor Andrews. Are there any errors or omission? Any online? Seeing none. All in favor of adoption? Opposed? It's carried. Business arising from the minutes, council, questions, comments on the minutes? No? Staff? 6.1 BC Hydro Fort Nelson Long-Term Resource Plan.
Thanks, Mayor. Just last council meeting, council resolved to send a couple letters to BC Hydro. Since then, we've received some correspondence regarding them. Hydro I was looking are in the process of developing a long-term resource plan for our area, including Fort Nelson First Nation and Prophet River First Nation. Based on the correspondence, the plan is a guide for meeting future electricity needs over the next 20 years and considers broader policy and planning context issues. So it's climate change and whatnot. So we're hitting the pause on that letter. Just we're supposed to circle back with us here in the coming weeks. So before we launch a letter outlining some expectations around potentially green electrification, advancing electrification up the highway, opportunities for electrifying the industry, whatever that might be. We had some ideas in terms of some of the messaging we're going to send. We're going to hit the pause button until we have this discussion with them to get a better idea of what their plan is and what the scope of work would look like with this particular activity they're going to be doing. So just wanted to advise council of that based on the resolution that was passed at the last meeting.
Okay, thank you. Can we have an update on the structural protection unit, please?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I have confirmed with Director of Finance Ryerchuk that there are sufficient funds within the general surplus to fund the $190,000 should council wish to purchase the entire structural protection unit. And the estimated delivery would be 10 to 16 weeks of that full unit.
Okay, questions? I think that's what we were looking for. How long before we got it and whether or not if we were available to get it, if we could order it sooner rather than later.
So yeah, I have reached out to the UBCM grant administrator just to ask that exact question. If we ordered it now, would that impact our eligibility for that particular grant? And I haven't heard back. So I did indicate on our grant application that our intention would be to be pursuing at some point a full structural protection unit. So.
Okay, good. So we'll wait till they hear back, I guess. Perfect. Okay, that brings us to reports, administration report 5823, the Animal Welfare Services and Policy Review. Staff, please.
We've kind of approached this with the team approach. So as you'll recall at the last meeting, Hillary spoke to the report that she had pulled together in terms of the challenges with the resolution standing from 2021. As a result, council rescinded that. And directed us to come back with a draft policy to speak to the reinstatement of humane destruction as a potential outcome for animals that were unclaimed. And then also directed staff to enter negotiations with North Paws. So Hillary had a chance to meet with North Paws later that week, and the discussions have been ongoing. So we've had some thoughts around that, and also had a look at budgets to see where there might be sufficient funds to look after that bridging discussion that council had in terms of potential funding to get the service underway sooner than later, in advance of budget considerations. And the draft policy is there attached as well. So the policy is, it refers to some of the more, I guess, best practices in industry. So SPCA's guidelines in determining adoptability, as well as the Canadian Veterinarian Association or College of Veterinarians, BC, sorry, in terms of end of life considerations. So we didn't think there was any sense in recreating the wheel, and looked to some examples that have been developed over time with those expert opinions. Within the policy, we propose that the assessments be undertaken as in a bit of a committee approach. So not leaving that decision to any one individual or organization, service provider, in the kind of blends that we have in implementing our bylaw, but having all kind of weigh in on those decisions to determine if an animal is adoptable. And obviously supported by veterinarians' advice if euthanasia is the ultimate outcome based on health or other issues that prevent adoptability. So we have circulated it to our pound contractor and our animal control officer, bylaw services in North Paw. Had a brief discussion with Laura today, but we'd like to have a bit more fulsome conversation with their board as well this week, but it's there for council's review and feedback also.
Thank you. Comments? Councilor Sanders?
I think it's a great approach, and kind of curious to see what it comes back with. I'm hoping it works. It honestly seems like our best bet. Definitely putting our best foot forward.
Anybody else? Councilor Souls?
Yeah, I too think that that's very good, having broadening out the decision-making basis on that, especially with those who are directly involved in the services of pound keeping. Just one concern I have with the write-up regarding it, and that is on page 2 of 3 at the very top, in where it says that it is recommended that the NRRM's policy establish that the decision-making process be facilitated by a committee with the animal's best interest in mind. That isn't something that can always be done. And I think that we recognize the folly of that thinking when we look at our bear situations also, where if you only look at, if the team is the only criteria they have is the animal's best interest in mind, don't forget that it also has to interact with the rest of us, the animals in the system, and therefore we should just broaden that statement. I'm not saying we shouldn't have it. I'm just saying we should broaden it to include the public interaction with.
Thank you. I was just checking to see if that was actually in the wording of the policy. It's in the report, but is it in the actual policy? It says, right out of the policy, it says, will determine the best outcome for the animal while considering safety for the community and available resources. Yeah, I think that covers it. So I like it. I think we should approve it in principle and hear back from all the right folks that we should be talking to. And I like the team approach. I think maybe there was some concerns with one particular group maybe making the decision, and if all the groups feel like that's something they can do is get together and determine the best action forward for whichever animal is in need of attention, then I like it. From a money perspective, it looks like for this year, there's enough money in the existing budget to take care of now till the end of the year. $8,000 ish, something like that, and the potential contract would go to June, which is beyond our budget process. So I'm sure we'll talk about it 15 times during the budget process, but at least there'll be some money there, and we can make a determination if we want to continue it on, for long term, and we'll get the opportunity to see how it all works as well. So. Counselor Schultz?
I just one more comment, and that is I really like that this approach finally closes the loop. It actually closes the loop. It's been the missing link all the way along for a long time dealing with the animal welfare scenario. There hasn't been, like, the actual act of funding part of it on our part is what will close the loop and make it actually a functional system. It's very good.
Yeah, as long as that's always within reason, right? Okay. So there is a recommendation there. Anybody would like to make the page 28, top of page 28? Would you like to read it for the folks?
I'd like to recommend that the draft transfer of care unclaimed animals policy be approved in principle, subject to feedback from stakeholders, and that the NRRM enter into a partnership agreement with North Paws Animal Rescue for a 7-month term starting November 1st, 2023, utilizing the remaining funds from the Animal Control Contract Services budget, and that animal welfare services be among those proposed in the 2024 budget.
Moved by Councilor Andrews, second by Councilor Roper. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Are there any opposed online? Seeing none, that passes. Report 7.2 is on the 2024 permissive tax exemption bylaw, so we are looking for adoption of that bylaw. Somebody move adoption, please. Moved by Councilor Andrews, second by Councilor Solz. Further discussion on the permissive tax exemption bylaw? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Oh, I should have asked online. I'm sorry. Anybody opposed online? Hearing none, that carries.
I'll raise my hand if I do.
I'm really relying on staff to show me because I can't see your face on the screen. So I'm relying on staff that if your hand goes up, they'll let me know. 7.3 is the council procedure amendment bylaw. And we need to look at first, second, and third readings because there's a minor change that needs to be done. If staff would like to speak to that, please.
Just briefly, in our haste to adopt a public notice bylaw, given the closure of the Fort Nelson News, we missed that there was a bit of redundancy in the definition, and so we weren't entirely meeting the charter's requirements that your one of your means of public notice can't be one of your public notice posting places. So we are removing the website as a public notice posting place and going back to the old fashioned bulletin board out front. So we'll be compliant.
Questions for staff? Councilor Roper.
Can we still post it online just as a secondary measure?
It's just not the spot that's, written. Yeah. Okay. Recognized as the spot. All right.
It's silly that we need a public notice posting place in
Yeah.
this day and age.
Yeah,
but
in this day and age, for sure. Do I have a mover for adoption? Did we do that already? I think we did. Andrews and Souls. All right. Is there any further discussion? Seeing that, all in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Correspondence for discussion 8.1. There is a letter from Grace Manor. Tanis Mold are looking for a letter of support. 738.
I can read a recommendation off.
Sure, if you would like.
I'd recommend that the NRRM supports the grant application from Fort Nelson Senior Citizen Housing Society, Grace Manor, to the Co-op Community Support Fund for up to $30,000 for renovations to create a health and wellness space at Grace Manor for all seniors.
Thank you. Moved by Councilor Andrews, second by Councilor Roper. Is there any discussion on that? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Anybody opposed online? Seeing none, that passes. 8.2 is an invitation from the Prophet River First Nation for their World Cafe Business and Community Connection Day. I'm interested in participating. I sure would like to see that we put a booth or table in down there, and if staff have the time and ability to pull it all together, I certainly am planning on being down there for the day. Staff, you have comments?
Here's my issue. Yeah, we've chatted, so the RDP team has discussed it, and Hillary's can definitely attend. I'm one of the staff members anyway, and then depending on where council wishes to go from if it's a booth or whatnot, then that's something we'll circle back and work on. Just want to confirm with council what the desire was.
I'd like to attend as well.
Okay. So that's 3.
I'd like to attend, but so the sponsorship that they're asking here, we would just pay for the booth, not do a sponsorship.
It's up to you. I don't know if there's any money left in the sponsorship fund. Is there? I think maybe.
Should
Or
be-
did we? No, we might have used the last.
There might be a small balance because not all of the grants have been redeemed in the grant and aid budget.
Right. So. Yeah, so we could actually approve, I mean, there's only 3 that they need, right? And if they've all been bought up already, but we could approve it, and if they've all been bought up, well, that's fine. We don't have to actually buy one, but if they're not all bought up, then we can buy one. If we approve that. I see Councillor Enex's hand is up.
Yes, I'd love to go for the day as well.
Oh, that's 4. Wow, good. That's a good attendance. So we have people to man the booth to help staff it. So we just need a resolution, I guess, I guess to $600. So it'd be $500 for a sponsorship if they still need one, and $100 for a booth. Authority for staff to pull together the necessary equipment and materials for a booth. And our permission for anybody from council who wants to attend. Somebody like to make that resolution? Okay, moved by Councillor Dickey. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Roper? Is there any discussion? Can you read back what I said? Oh, Councillor Enex?
Oh, no, my hand looks like it's off or down.
No, it's
Just-
still up.
Sorry,
It's okay.
there's that better?
No, still up. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, sorry.
Did somebody capture that?
So moved by Counselor Dickey to approve $600 in expenses to cover a sponsorship and booth costs for staff to pull a booth together, as well as to approve those on council who wish to attend.
And funds can come out of the existing grant and aid, and if there's not enough, it can come from the mayor's. Okay, perfect. Stipends, yeah. The mayor's discretionary account, I think, has a little bit of money left in it. Okay, then, any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Any online opposed? Seeing none, that passes. Okay, there is a letter there from the BC Rural Health Network as a request to do a research project for the relationship between the availability of healthcare and economic development and vitality in rural BC. So they're looking for a written letter of support. I think Councillor Gerwing had commented on an email to me that that she thought this was a good idea, and that actually that this group had pulled together a bit of a report in years gone by that looked at our situation here in Northern Rockies. So I certainly would be in support of a letter for them. What's council wishes?
I'd like to support a letter. I'm just trying to figure out how to make that into a motion, but we could just say that I would like to support BC Rural Health Networks application. Where was it? I just had it. To secure funding through the Rural Economic Diversification and Infrastructure Program grant.
Okay, moved by Counselor Andrews. Do I have seconder? Counselor Souls. Further discussion? Seeing none? All in favor? Opposed? Is there anybody online opposed? Seeing none, that passes. There are 3 letters and 2 information packages for us to receive for information. Moved by Counselor Souls, receive for information, second by Counselor Andrews. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Okay, that brings us to 9.1, new business items. We only have one, and that's from the CIO with respect to the BC Hydro line update.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, just a quick update for council and as part of the meeting. I sent some correspondence that we received from Hydro today, just advising that the transmission line has been restored as of Saturday night. So the one from Rainbow Lake. So it adds some redundancy to the hydro and the community, and the timing's good considering a little early considering the date we had provided. But the cold weather is here, so it's good news for sure. Just a couple stats, that line's been down for 171 days. With the restoration of that line, we'll be officially standing on our EOC, which sits at 161 days. So prep for winter.
Yeah.
So just want to advise council that, and we'll share whatever information and links that Hydro provide as part of that communication process.
Good. Thanks to BC Hydro for working on that. I mean, we have been in discussions with them, you know, for a while now, I guess a couple of months to really look at that October 31st as a date for either to have that line repaired or a bigger backup system in place, because we can only light up the center of town with what we have, right? So kudos to them that they were able to get that done, and I suspect based on the equipment they had there at considerable expense as well. So thank you to BC Hydro. Any other new business? Seeing none, councillor updates. Does anybody have any? Councillor Enax.
Well, it's been pretty busy for me. We'll just start with October 11th. Most of you were there, the McDonald's VIP event, which was great. The 12th of October, I attended the hospital board meeting, as well as the Northern BC Tourism Association AGM. And then that evening, we helped out at the Hospice Society's silent art auction, which was fantastic. On the 13th, we attended a workshop at the Friendship Center with the Old Fort Métis Nation and made ribbon skirts. And later on that evening, I attended their meeting. On the 17th, it was the community engagement drop-in session in the Bear Pit, which was a fantastic group and conversation and information from all our not-for-profits, and you know how we can all work together with the NRRM. And then on this past Saturday was the Northern Rockies Senior Society's Fall Frolic, which I helped work at. And Jaylene, I just need to tell you that everybody thought your meal was fabulous. And that's it.
Okay, anybody else? I have one meeting I think I'd like to speak about, and that's the meeting that I attended with CAO Barry at the our Northern Health annual meeting, I guess, for I guess really for their capital budget. I guess the highlight for me there, a few highlights, I guess they went on and on actually for quite a while about the different projects around the Northern Health area. But one of the things they did make mention is that in the next couple of years, they'll be starting the hospital replacement process for here. So don't get excited. It's 2 years before they'll start it, and it's at least a 10-year process. So it's a long ways away, but we are we are on the radar based on the age of our hospital and, you know, the fact that it's it's starting to deteriorate and it's going to cost them a lot of money to keep it in the condition that it was originally built for. I guess the other highlight was the MOU that there was an expectation that we sign. We had some concerns with that MOU and we wrote letters back in June to all the other chairs of the different hospital districts in the region, expressing our concerns about clause 1, 2, and 13. And since then I've added 12. And so I expressed my concerns mainly around the idea that they wanted to have those people who were ready sign and those people who weren't ready not sign. Like, you could take more time. So I was wondered about the process. Well, if a bunch of people have signed it, because there's 6 potential areas, if 3 have signed it and then there's changes, do you have 2 different agreements, or do you have to go back now to the ones who signed it already, or does it presuppose that that there's not going to be any changes? And so, so I was starting to get a little hot under the collar, as I am pretty passionate about this, but I think I kept it together fairly. Anyway, there was quite a long discussion about it. And they finally decided to wait. And we are going to send a bit of a brief, I guess, around to all of the others, expressing our concerns. Although we did send that letter out, we didn't have a lot of detail in the others. It was mainly copied to them and it was sent to Northern Health, right? But now we're going to put a little bit of detail around, the themes basically are communication and accountability to the MOU, doing what they say they're going to do in that MOU, and transparency, that we understand, we know how they're making decisions about our capital, and because it's mainly about the hospital, right? So it's not Northern Health in its entirety, it's a hospital district, right? So we have to kind of, although we have some issues in the bigger picture, this is aimed mainly at the operation and funding of hospitals. So we'll send that out, and the new CEO, Chiro, and I'm just forgetting his last name. It's Pereiro, or it's, yeah, that's, yeah. He asked if we would meet with him after, and we sat down with him, CEO Barry and myself, along with Mike Hoffer, who was their guy around capital, and Angela, thank you. Her name just went. I want to call her Angela DeSmith. So we sat for half an hour after, and we explained, our particular concerns with those clauses. And I think he went away understanding them. He didn't give any commitments because he's got to work with the board, obviously. And his next cycle won't put him in front of the board until December, because that last week was their board meeting. But essentially, yeah, we want them to meet with us at least annually. And their clause in there, 12, basically says that, 13 says that they'll meet with the different hospital districts when they are meeting in our area. That's not going to happen very often, right? So, and especially in this day and age, there's no reason that we can't meet more frequently. So, but that's a board decision, because it's more than just words. If we actually put that in the MOU, they actually have to do it. So we'll be looking for, and not everybody has to meet. You can meet as you request, but if it's not in there, you don't even have the opportunity to ask for an annual meeting. The other was having 12, which we added in, is having some type of a progression when we have an issue of an operational nature, where we would be able to speak locally with the hospital administrator and Angela. And then if we're not confident or satisfied with what's happening there, that there's the ability for us to kick it up to Jero. And then if we're still dismayed or not happy with what we're hearing back, then an opportunity to kick it up to the board, or at least the chair of the board. So he understood that, and he understood why we were interested in that. So we'll see what kind of wording he comes back with on that. So yeah, so I thought it was a good meeting for lots of different reasons, and we'll get that brief out to the rest of them, and hopefully we can sign something before the end of the year. Good. Okay. Anybody else? Council reports or any business outstanding? Okay, is there any questions online? Public? Right, then I need a resolution to move to a closed meeting to speak about personnel. Moved by Councillor Sol, second by Councillor Andrews. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. We'll adjourn we'll take a short break and then we'll start up in 5 minutes. Thank you. We are complete of the in-camera regional council meeting, and I think we will rise with the report. Please, sit down.
So moved by Councillor Andrews, seconded by Councillor Souls, that Faith McInnes's application to the Northern Rockies Recruitment, Retention, Education and Training Incentive Program be approved in principle, subject to confirmation of eligibility with Northern Health, carried unanimously. Rising and reporting from the October 10th council meeting, moved by Councillor Gerwing, seconded by Councillor Enax, that Regional Council appoint Percy Wright as the Northern Rockies Regional Municipalities Designated Director to the Fort Nelson First Nation Northern Rockies Regional Municipality Community Forest General Partner Corporation, or CF Corp, carried unanimously. And risen and reported from the October 10th in-camera regional council meeting, moved by Councillor Gerwing, seconded by Councillor Andrews, that staff move forward to recruit for the NRM's vacant board position on the Fort Nelson First Nation Northern Rockies Regional Municipality Community Forest General Partner Corporation, CF Corp, carried unanimously.
Good, thank you for that report. Adjournment is in order for the regular council meeting. Can I have a motion for that, please? Moved by Councillor Andrews, second by Councillor Roper. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. She put her hand up, yeah. But thank you, everybody.